We'll just have some welcome remarks from our friends with PLDT. So please welcome Joy Hilao, the AVP and Head of Corporate Relationship Management for PLDT Enterprise. Thanks, Joy.
Good morning. Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade, esteemed members of the Asia CEO Forum and the public sector, ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. On behalf of PLDT Enterprise and the Asia CEO, we would like to welcome you all to today's event,
No, it wasn't.
where we are fortunate enough to be joined by Secretary Tugade, who will be taking us through our administration's ambitious infrastructure program, popularly known as the Build, Build, Build program. Nearly 4 years since its implementation, and we're seeing huge milestones in the Philippine infrastructure development. With global thought leaders and analysts from all the likes of The Economist and Asian Development Bank commending its success. With an influx of investors eyeing next wave cities and the Philippine forecast said to attain 6% economic growth this coming year, it seems as though the program has already started bringing in substantial returns nationwide. While each of us may have our own agenda, we in the public sector and infrastructure industry all share the same goal, that is to serve our country by building structures and policies for the nation. After all, at the end of the day, our achievements will not impact just ourselves but our fellow countrymen as well. Thank you very much and a pleasant morning to all.
Very good, thank you. So, I know everybody likes the guy. I don't know, he's a real personality. So please welcome Secretary Arthur Tugade, Department of Transportation, to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause to Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade.
Good morning to you all. Magandang umaga ho sa inyong lahat. You know, it's a nice feeling to be back. I honestly say it's a good feeling to be back. You know, when I was a student of public speaking, my professor told us, you know, if you are to deliver a speech, there is one thing you should remember: the time upon which you are invited. If you come on time, it means you are interested. If you come late, it means you are not interested. It means the circumstances have forced you to attend and deliver a speech. But if you come early, it shows that you are interested and very, very interested. Ladies and gentlemen of the CEO Forum, today I was here at 7 o'clock. It means no, I remember distinctly well when I visited for the first time. I think it was in May of 2018, when I visited the CEO Forum for the first time as an incumbent and as a newly appointed member of Duterte's administration, responsible for the Department of Transportation. And so I came here and I was asked to present to you what are the programs and plans of action which the Duterte administration would like to pursue and do in the course of its term. It was then in May of 2018 when I presented some what I call low-hanging fruits. And then I presented some programs and plans which I thought has to be pursued, should have been pursued, and will have to be pursued in order that this country can grow, can develop, and can fly in the field of international competition. And so today, I come here, follow through and follow up of what I was talking about during May of 2018. Let us revisit what I have mentioned to you last 2018. I mentioned red, low-hanging fruits. I said, since we are new in the administration, the first thing we should adopt in order to have an impact, in order to have a development, was to address low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruits I defined during that time were the issues that were prevalent during the election time. And were the issues that were prevalent during the election time was traffic, traffic, traffic. And so the reality is, I am not responsible for traffic, but then this issue has to be addressed. And in my own way, I said then, low-hanging fruit, that I will transfer the office of the Department of Transportation to Clark. Barely a year after we have assumed responsibility in the Department of Transportation, I transferred the office of dotr in Clark. It was a chief. You know, ladies and gentlemen, when I transferred, I was confronted with a lot of complaints and even cases filed by my own employees. Why should we transfer to Clark? But notwithstanding those lawsuits, notwithstanding those complaints, I transferred the office because I believed then, as I believe now, that if we are to decongest Metro Manila in order to solve the aging problem of traffic, some offices, if not all of the offices, will have to be moved outside Manila. And then I said, I have to set the example, and then I moved the office of the Department of Transportation from Manila to Clark. Now, we are happily nestled and settled in Clark, and our people in Clark and in the field of transportation are so happy and accept it. That transfer has eased the traffic situation, not only in the area of Green Hills where LaSalle, our university, is situated, but more importantly, the surrounding. But what is the real meaning of that transfer? People realize the need to move from Metro Manila to other places in the country so that you can help decongest and ease the traffic. And so it was. It indeed. We are the first government office that transferred to Clark. We have set the example, and many offices since then have plans and have actually moved to Clark, following what the pioneering act that we have set for ourselves. Help decongest Metro Manila, move out the offices from Metro Manila, put it in other places so that you can help decongest. And so it was done, and so it is done. You know, I have been a firm believer of Clark and the development of Clark. I think my friend June here is a witness to the fact that I was a believer in the development of Clark. During that time in the previous administration, I was sounding very loud and very vociferous about saying, let's move to Clark. It is a highly developed place and we can help in the development of Clark. But my plea and my protestation and presentation fell into the deaf ears. Nothing happened. So the opportunity was presented to me when I joined the Duterte administration, and I said, I will do it. Ladies and gentlemen of the CEO Forum, if there is one place that is really developing so high and developing so strong in the country today, one of them is Clark. And so it was in May when I first came and I addressed the low-hanging fruit. Maybe you have heard, I hope you have not forgotten, the Laglagbala, where people were restricted from traveling on a schedule because they found ammunition in the luggages. That's gone. And so it was. During the time, we were known as the Republic na walang plaka. For the benefit of my friend, it is a country without car plates. Lo and behold, I said, we have to address it. This was a place where even driver's license then was just copied, Xerox copy paper, nothing permanent. In the time of President Duterte, During the brief moment that we are here, car plates are now manufactured here. And if I tell you that we even have a robotics, doing and manufacturing the car plates. Before, the car plates were imported from other places in the country. Today, your car plates, our car plates, are manufactured by robots in the Philippines. And so it is that we have now licenses, plastic, laminated, you enjoy. And so it is that whereas before, car plates and licenses will have the validity of 2 years. Now, you have 5 years. And I tell you, our car plates and the licenses we are issuing now have built-in apps where we can cancel your licenses and cancel the validity of your plate numbers online if we see certain violations. I will not tell you the details of these apps because you know very well that when you know the details of the app, I'm sure some people will be spending their next few days how to circumvent the apps. But there are built-in apps. And so it is. When we assume they said the Philippines, Manila International Airport has the worst airport in the world. In barely 2 years that we have assumed, that tag of being the worst airport in the Philippines was gone. We have been classified as one of the most improved airports in the world, and it is our objective that soon our airports will become a good category airport in the international field. This is not dreaming, because already some of the airports in the Philippines are now classified as good airport. You have the airport in Cebu, the airport in Iloilo, the airport in Dumaguete, and they are all part of good airports. It is our objective to make sure that the Manila International Airport will soon rise up and be lodged in that category of being a good airport in the field of international aviation. You know, it is so hard when you enter government and try to perform so many things. Alam mo, sir, I really appreciate the past administration. You know why? Because they left us with so many problems. It gave us the opportunity to solve those problems and to outshine their performances. To previous administration, maraming salamat po. And so these are the low-hanging fruits. My friends ask me, what have you done? What have we done? We will tell you what we have done. For those who are doubting Thomases in what this administration can do, many of them will say, nothing has been done. Many of them will say, they just continued what we used to do. Fucking shit. Sir, mea culpa, pardon me. Let us review sector by sector what has been done in the Department of Transportation in relation to the plans of build, and the plan to be able to put up a golden age of infrastructure. Let us go one by one on the 4 sectors: the air, the maritime, the rails, and the road. And then, after I speak, be the judge. Tell us, have we done something? Naturally, we have done something. Have we done more of what has been committed? Make the judgment. But to say we have not done anything, I said, you better have your head examined. Let us review the sector's performance point by point and one by one. Let us go to aviation. As I speak today, I have lost count on how many airports We have improved, we have renovated, and we have put only as a new airport. In fact, as of today, we have already improved, renovated, and put up new airports. Plus, on the screen, as you will see, are various places in the country that have benefited from the good performance of putting up airports. But let us just touch on some major issues about the airports. I was asked earlier about Sangli Airport. Sangli? When the President told me June last year, Art, make sure that the existing facility and structure in Sangli be improved and be operational by the end of this year, December of 2019. I said, yes, sir, we will do it. He gave me, in technical deadlines, a very, very short time. But believe it, ladies and gentlemen of the CEO Forum, by October of the same year, following July, I had a dry run of the Sangli Airport. And by February of this year, the President formally inaugurated the Sangli Airport. And he said, how did you finish this? Sir, I said, I was so afraid with failing you. And so we have to make sure that the Sangli Airport is completed. And when we have completed the Sangli Airport, primarily for general aviation, primarily for domestic operation, suddenly one group said, let us develop Sangli not only into domestic, but also into international airport. I said, go ahead, be my guest. If you have the plan, and your plan will balance with what the government would like to do, then we will consider. But meantime, let Sangli operate as a domestic airport, as a general aviation, because by doing so, we can help decongest Manila International Airport on this Latin schedule. And so Sangli is now operational. The past administration for the last 10 years or so have been thinking of putting operational Sangli, but nothing has happened. You know, sir? Because then they considered the construction of a connecting road to be a condition sine qua non upon which Sangli can operate. It is very hard to put connecting road because there is an issue of right-of-way. I said, why do we have to settle and concentrate on putting up roads? There is water. There is Manila Bay. We have to use Manila Bay. There is no right-of-way. We have to use Manila Bay by using ferry and by ferrying people from MOA to Sangli. Then you can have it really operational. Ladies and gentlemen, as of today, that ferry operation is in place. Instead of traveling from Manila to Sangli by road by 2.5 hours in 17 minutes, maybe 14 minutes, depending on the speed, on the knots, the maritime vessel run, you will be in Sangli. Clark, let's go to Clark. I told you earlier, and I repeat, and I tell you again, I am a extreme believer on the development of Clark. And so it is that when I was given the chance to be a moving factor in the development of Clark, I said, one of the first things we have to do is to develop the airport in Clark. They have one of the best runways. Did you know that that old runway in Clark can even accommodate a satellite? That's how strong and how big it is. And so I said, if you are to develop an airport and the existing runway with this capacity and capability is there, why not develop Clark? And so we developed Clark by increasing the flights coming in and out. From what it was originally at 24 flights, it's now more than 250 flights. From what it is of one terminal, we will be finishing the terminal by June, July of this year, so that then Clark can boast of a beautiful terminal. So beautiful that it can compete with the beauty that is being appreciated now in Cebu. Let me just tell you, have you been to Clark lately? None of you have been to Clark? I'll tell you one of the systems we use in Clark. You know what, sir? That terminal, Mr. Jun, that terminal, wherever you stand, you can see Mount Arayat, you can see Mount Pinatubo in glorious prism and glorious view. And by the way, when I say I put terminals now, sir, it's not just putting up a shop in a building and you have a terminal which has been done in the past. I said to myself, Sir Jun, if I were to put up a terminal, it has to express the beauty and the environment of the locale where it is located. So that when you go to Cebu, what you appreciate are the beauty of Cebu. You have the sinulog, you have the festivities. If you go to Panglao, you have the Chocolate Hills. If you go to Clark, you will have Mount Arayat in its pristine beauty. And so it is that in all other terminals which we put up, you will appreciate the beauty of the place where that terminal, where that airport is located. The Clark International Airport second terminal will be completed by June and July of this year. And as we complete and finish the second terminal, it is our ambitious hope that we shall soon start with the second runway in Clark. That is Clark. Maybe, ma'am, you will ask me, how about Bulacan Airport? You want to ask that? Let me answer that. The Bulacan Airport, all contracts has been signed, concession has been signed, concession agreement. There has been some clarifications being pushed up. Mind you, let it be put on record that the effort is not one of objection or impeding or obstructing the project. It is designed to ask for clarification so that the higher interests of government can be preserved and can be maintained. There is no obsession or objectives at all not to stop the Bulacan Airport. Having said that, all the clarifications to my mind has been clarified, has been completed. To my mind, the groundbreaking of the Bulacan International Airport, sir, will soon commence and will soon be inaugurated. Please understand that there is a seeming delay in the inauguration because of what has happened and what is happening with the personal family of the proponent. I have to respect the family condition of the proponent out of reverence and out of respect. And so we will give him that time. And when the time comes, the Bulacan Airport will be inaugurated. What is the Bulacan Airport all about? It is 6 runways. 6 runways, targeting millions and millions of passengers that will commute and that will be using the Bulacan Airport. It is hoped that 1 runway will be completed for use and for operation during the end, by the end of the term of the President. And so you say, how about NAIA? You nod your head, sir. I will save you so you don't ask that question to me in the open forum. But if you want some clarifications, ask it again. There is a proponent by a consortium of 7 to modify and to improve on NAIA Terminal 1, 2, 3, and 4. The proposals has been there. I have given them a deadline that if we do not come into agreement before or on this deadline, I will terminate all negotiations. But then we have a new group that has been organized, and this is the Presidential Assistant for Red Flag issues in projects. headed by Vince Dison, and he was given the chance to negotiate. The final submission has been done last week. That submission will be acted upon by the Board of Directors and then submitted to NEDA, hopefully, before March 15, everything related to NAIA will be resolved. Either NAIA will continue with the improvements as proposed by the consortium of 7, or we will terminate the agreement and make it available and open to other parties who are interested. Last May 2018, I told you about Panglaos. It was then 10% ongoing completion. 10%. Nobody believed. I noticed that some people smirked when I said, we will finish Panglao. My friends, Mr. Walker said, we finished Panglao in record time. It's now operating as an international airport. You want performance? These are just a few of the performances which we have done in less than 3 years, or 3 years or so that we have been here. I'm not even counting the airports we have put up in Ormoc. I'm not even counting the airports that will be inaugurating in Pagadian. I'm not even counting the airports that we will soon inaugurate in Cotabato. We're not even counting the airports in Marinduque will be soon groundbreak. I'm not even counting the improvements that will be done in Bacolod, in Tacbilaran, and Iloilo. Name the places, and we have airports that are being put up, being improved, and to be inaugurated all over the country, including Camiguin Island. Supposing I tell you now, if you have the free time, look at the map, and you will see that Camiguin Island is a far-flung place. If I tell you now, a commercial flight is now operating in Camiguin. And you know what, sir? Camiguin is a place that is politically not in sync with the administration of Duterte. But notwithstanding, development and growth are being put up in places whose leaders are not in sync with President Duterte. Why is it so? Because the President said development and growth in the country is not predicated and it's not conditioned to any political color or political affiliation. I am the President, he said, of the Republic of the Philippines. He said, I am not only the President of my own political party, I am the President of the Republic, so that if there are places that need to be developed, even if they are not in sync with my political aspirations, do it, do it, do it. And so, Camiguin is there. And you know what? You heard of Vice President Leni Robredo? We are also putting up developments there. Let me cite to you some developments. Number one is the Bicol International Airport. The Bicol International Airport has been a project for many, many years. And if I am able to push my contractor right and well, I tell you, before the end of this year, that airport, international airport at that, will be inaugurated. Complementing the international airport is a development which we are doing on rails. I will touch on this again when I go to rails. We are putting up the Southern Railway from Tutuban to Naga and Sorsogon as the first phase. Development, economic growth, in the term of President Duterte, is not dictated and will never be dictated with political affiliations or political color. How much time do I have, sir? The program said 1 hour.
As much as you want.
You know, the last time I spoke, tell you, I spoke for 2 hours. No. For those who were before, I tell you, I spoke for 2 hours. And don't even attempt to stand up, because the moment I notice you stand up, I'll walk to the door close it and you listen to me. That's my way of getting even to you guys. I came here at 7 o'clock. And so, ano bang oras na? Let's go to rails. On May of 2018, I mentioned to you that the population of our railway in the Philippines is only 77 kilometers. Only 77 kilometers, and it includes PNR, it includes MRT, it includes LRT, it includes everything. It's just 77. Suppose I tell you that in the time of the Commonwealth, long before some of you were born, during the time of the Commonwealth, we had a population of 2,000 kilometers. It was reduced to 77 kilometers. We are the only nation in the world whose population in network and rails has reduced and reduced drastically over the years. And so in May I said, we will evolve and develop a plan that hopefully will increase the railway population from 77 to 1,900. It is a very tall order, and it is really a very, very tall order. And so the question now is, where are we in relation to your pronouncement last May of 2018? I will tell you. PNR, when we assumed, there were only 17 stations, commuter trains, operating and operated by Philippine National Railway. Today, as we speak, there are already 34 stations, and we intend to increase that to the level of 50 before we end our term. And you say, so what? So what? Richard mentioned about the new trains you saw last week. That's part of the PNR development. 17 to 24 stations. And what good are these stations if we don't have coaches and we don't have trains? And so we have started to acquire the trains on a commuter basis, and we have already 4 trains that have been imported from Inca, a corporation in Indonesia. And these 4 trains will be increased to 9 as we go on June and July of this year. And so you will have a massive improvement on PNR commuter train operation within Metro Manila. And so it is, we said, we have to increase the stations, we have to put new trains, and we have to develop new tracks. Because the trains will not last until and unless you change, improve, and develop the tracks. You know where the tracks are now, sir? In the houses in exclusive subdivisions, where they use this wood, yung sariles, ginagawa nilang furnitures yun. Now we will make that criminal if you do that. So we will be improving on the trust, and that is already scheduled, and it will be done. I mentioned to you about Bicol earlier. That Bicol, from Tutuban to Sorsogon, Matnog, Sorsogon, that will be in place by December of 2021 operational. That is a stretch of around 650 kilometers. We hope that the Tutuban, Matnog, Sorsogon will be operational before the end of the term of the President. And you know what? What are the kinds of trains and coaches that will be used in Bicol? You will have first class, you will have business class, and you will have economy class. The full range. Similar to what you have in London, I hope we will be better than London. Similar to what they have in Japan, maybe we cannot match the speed because you're running at 300 kilometers per hour. We'll be running at 170 kilometers per hour. But what am I trying to say? We will try I think we have an Indonesian friend here. Sir, you're Indonesian? Indonesian? Because I'm talking of an Indonesian crane manufacturer, Inca. Can you stand up, sir? I notice you are in batik. Are you Indonesian? Yes, I'm from Indonesia. So you have heard of Inca? No, actually I'm from Indonesia. We'll be using the trains of Inca. Some people have the perception that we only use Chinese. That's not true. We use Indonesian, we use Japanese, we use Spanish, we use the parts of Great Britain. We use all over, not only Chinese. And so these are Mindanao Railways. Mindanao is a God-forsaken place in the past administration. Mindanao now, in the eyes of this administration, is the apple of our eye. So that speaking of rails, we will soon be bidding out the international railways, covering more or less 7 kilometers. And the first part will be Tagum, Digos, and Davao. Again, it is our hope, it is our dream, that we can make this operational before the end of the term of President Duterte, December of 2021. Our contractors have time and again said, let's do it on 2022. I said, no, do it on 2021. I pushed the contractors so that if there are contractors here who have expressed desire to meet with me, resign yourself to one thing. I don't follow your deadlines. You will have to live by my deadlines. And so it is that is in the law. How about here in Metro Manila? What is happening with MRT3? When we assume almost every day of the week, every week of the month, there were problems and unloading because of certain things done in MRT3. You know what they did? The legitimate contractor, they canceled and put a local contractor without experience on the technology that is being used in MRT3. That is the stepping stone to what I call suicide. And so it was. And you have problems on the left, problems on the right, problem in front and problem at the back, never-ending problem on MRT3. Now, as I speak, you will notice that the MRT3 situation has dramatically changed. Whereas before, you see numerous breakdown MRT3 breakdown is so limited. And it's attributable basically to two things. Electrical, and some idiots who push the door and force open the door and make the train stops. And because of the absence of the spare parts. Today, we have all the spare parts and inventory in place. Today, a Japanese firm, the original Japanese contractor who handled MRT before, is the same contractor that is handling it now, and that is why you don't see a lot of breakdowns. I assure you, and thank you for your applause, I assure you that when this is completed, after 40 months thereabouts, the speed of MRT3 will be 60 kilometers per hour compared to 25 and 30 now. A headway of 3 minutes compared to 7 minutes now, 7-8 minutes. A ridership of 650,000 daily compared to 180,000 to 200,000 now. If you do not call that improvement, I don't know what improvement means. In the definition of Webster in his dictionary, that, ladies and gentlemen, is improvement. Let us go to LRT. Just raise your hands if you want me to accelerate. LRT extensions, LRT1 extension. This is the Cavite extension. This will run from Baclaran to Niom, Bacoor in Cavite. Never mind the places, because I'm sure many of you, especially our foreign guests, are familiar with the place. As I speak today, we have completed more than 30% of a project that was forgotten in a long, long time. This can accommodate 800,000 passengers daily. We hope that this project will have partial operability from Baclaran to Bacoor, and then in 2 years going onwards to the internal places of Cavite to achieve 800,000 passenger capacity. This has been forgotten for many, many years. And so if it's LRT1, what about LRT2? LRT2 is another extension project that will traverse, from Commonwealth going to San Jose, Bulacan. Is that San Jose, Bulacan? Oh, I have my old figures mixed up. LRT will also be completed. This is from Basinan to Antipolo. It will be completed. I assure you, it will be completed before the end of the term of the President. Our completion as of this time, sir, is more than 75%. And we do that. Lately, you have heard about MRT7. They said, Quezon City said, stop. And so they put all in the newspapers, oh, MRT7, it will be stopped by Quezon City. Let me put on record that it is not the intention of the local government that is Quezon City, it is not the intention of Mayor Belmonte to stop the project. They are just trying to clarify certain things. There was a meeting last week between the proponent San Miguel, the local government that is Quezon City, and DOTR through Mr. TJ Batan, and they have agreed to come up with a win-win solution so that what Quezon City wants and what we desire to be done and what the proponent can commit to do, it will be on a win-win. And they will decide by February 28. Will this move delay the project? No, sir. Because right now, the delay is above ground. It's not underground. And so the project is still moving, and we have completed 50% of that. We'll finish it. We'll finish it. Let me tell you, I will try not to mention any names. But if you force me to, I will mention names. But I will try not to. On MRT7, we had a problem before. And the problem was to put the depot somewhere in Bulacan, San Jose. There was a ruling by the court, or an instruction by the court, increase the rate from 300 to 3,000 per square meter on right-of-way. I mentioned earlier, fuck you. And so I said, fuck you. I did not follow. I moved from that place of the depot to another place. So the other place, they said, pay me right of way. I said, you are located in an area which is classified as watershed. I'm going to expropriate your land. And don't force me to expropriate the whole thing. For the moment, I'm just asking for 20 hectares for the depot. We took possession. The construction is going on now. There is negotiation for a reasonable expropriation payment. Because of this, we are confident that MRT7s will be completed. And so it is that we have the rails. Subway, sir? Subway. You want to have subway Okay, let me tell you about subway. Last Monday, I had a press conference where we unveiled the materials and the equipment that will be placed in what we call the tunnel boring machine. Because the tunnel boring machine is not an equipment that you just buy in a hardware store. It is constructed and manufactured to specs after drilling and doing soil tests. Last Monday, we showed the equipment that will be put in the tunnel boring machine. I was told by our proponents that we are advanced by 1 month. The issue is, when do you start boring? We will complete the boring machine in Tokyo until June, and by August, hopefully, by the end of the third quarter of this year, we can start boring. How about partial operability? Last May of 2018, I told you we have adopted the concept of partial operability, and so it is, I say, that the subway will have partial operability before the end of the term of the President. What is partial operability? Partial operability is that concept which we have designed. Before, when you have a project, you have to finish the project completely before you actually use it. The subway will involve more than 20 stations. We cannot do the 20 stations in the next 3 years, but we can do 2 or we can do 3. And so we told the proponents and we told the government, Mr. Duterte, sir, before your term ends, the Filipino people will experience the convenience, the comfort, and the safety of using a subway on a partial operability context. Why partial operability? You know why, ma'am? Because if the Filipino people will have experienced the benefit, comfort, and safety of a subway, do you think the Filipino people will allow the future administration not to continue with the project? Patayan niya. And that is why we have to use the concept of partial operability. You see, that's one part, that's part of the grinder. The Japanese there are the Japanese technocrats which came over. So the facilities are here. Marrying the subway is what I call the Philippine Railway Institute, PRI. I am a believer of training and education that is continuing and never ending. And so I said, for the subway and for the trains to properly operate efficiently and continuously in the coming years, there must be continuous learning, there must be continued training. And so we will put up the Philippine Railway Institute. What is this? This is an institute wherein people who will be working in the subway, in the trains, will have to be certificated by this institute. No more political patronage or recommendation. It's all about certificated employment. And this is our desire. You know, I saw this in Tokyo. Metro Tokyo. The efficiency of the rail operations in Tokyo is married and predicated with training, and that is why they have Metro Tokyo. I said when I saw this, I want it done also in the Philippines, and I'm putting up. And you know why, sir? The Japanese government, the Japanese businessmen, had their trust and confidence in me, and they said, Tugade-san, put it up. We will give you as a grant the simulators. And they will be putting simulators in this Philippine Railway Institute as a grant from the Japanese government through the JICA efforts in order to help us assure continuous training and development for people that will be operating the railways and the station. And this will not just be limited to engineers. It will include customer service, accounting, finance, business development, and also maintenance. For you who have traveled in Japan, you are familiar with what we call the Shinkansen concept. The Shinkansen concept, when the train rolls and it stops in exactly 7 minutes, that train will roll again, clean, spick and span, and pure and beautiful. I told our Japanese partners, I said, give me that Railway Institute. I assure you, one time soon in the future, the Filipinos will beat the Japanese in their Shinkansen culture. Instead of doing it for 7 minutes, the Filipinos, sir, will try to do it in 5 minutes. And that is the challenge I pose and impose on myself. Anong oras na? Sir, can I have water? You don't have coronavirus? Let's go to maritime. Who of you here are involved in maritime? If none, I can skip it. Huh? There are, maritime. Supposing, sir, I tell you that we have already completed 220 projects maritime. You won't believe, right? I hope you can travel with me next time in various ports. Do you know that the Philippines is an archipelago? Of course you know. Do you know that as an archipelago, we are consisting of several islands? 7,000 or so, including 3 major islands. And what, therefore, is the best connectivity in the Philippines? It's maritime. And so we have developed port. We have improved on ports. We have constructed ports, totaling as we speak, more than 200. And in the next 355 days, the remaining term of President Duterte, we expect to finish another 200, totaling 400. Let me cite to you one of the ports that we have developed. This is a port in Cagayan de Oro. The first maritime terminal port that can accommodate 3,000 passengers. Bigger than North and South Harbor. Suppose I tell you that even in the farthest place of this republic, there are already ports being placed to accommodate the travel of Ro-Ro and maritime yacht. And these are all being put in place. And in addition to this, do you do lighthouses, sir? No? Who's doing lighthouses here? Do you know that in the Philippines, there are more than 500 lighthouses? And do you know that as we speak, we have already completed the renovations of less than 250 lighthouses? Because during and before our term, the lighthouses were derelicts in the oceans and in the river. The lighthouses were used for other purposes than being a tool for navigation. Now, we put up and improve the lighthouses to make it not a tourist attraction and at the same time really make it as a navigation tool. Supposing if I tell you that right now I am trying to phase out, are there media here? Okay. I'm trying to phase out, may media pala, oh. I'm trying to phase out the use of wooden hull. If you have accidents in the open seas, you speak of how many are dead, how many are missing. Why? Because the hull is made of wood. Sir, before I end this term, I want the hull, except for fishing boats, to be either aluminum, steel, and then fiberglass. This will be more safe, and I will going to insist on this. Marry the tools, marry the vessels with what we call, I was talking with someone here engaged in technology. Where is the gentleman? We are using the first and we are using what we call electronic ticketing. You know, one of our problems, sir, is overbooking. Our problem, sir, is scalpel. Our problem, sir, is not being able to control the loading and unloading of passengers. Now we are going into electronic ticketing, where it is the machine that controls, and there is central ticketing. And then all passengers that ride will be accounted for. Imagine a situation when there is a tragedy happening in the open seas, and you cannot even determine who was on that ship. It's crazy. And so we are doing this. Then I'm doing what I call the cashless transaction. I will complement this with the other sectors in the transportation. I want cashless transaction, no money. I want cashless transaction to be on the basis not only of cards, but also on the basis of cell phone. I want cashless transaction that is efficient and continuing. I want cashless transaction so that issues about thievery and taking advantage will no longer be there. And these are the things that we are doing in terms of ship modernization. Let us go to roads. I mentioned about cashless transaction. It will so, and it will be done also in the road sector. The beep card, some of you are in beep card, but I will not limit it to you. I don't like monopolies. I want open competition. Similar to Singapore, similar to China, similar to Taipei, similar to Hong Kong, open competition. No exclusivity. Who of you have been to the PITX Parañaque terminal? Road terminal. No one? Please find time to see it so that you will believe what I'm going to say. For the first time, time's up? For the first time in the history of transportation, we have put up a road terminal as beautiful as an airport. Fully air conditioning on real time. Before, when I started and we started operation, there were complaints all over the place. No user, no on time, of course, because these are all birth pains. Now that the birth pains are gone, I tell you, the users right now in that road terminal at one point reach 680,000 to 700,000. People are traveling by convenience, with convenience. And this will not be the only terminal of that kind. I will demand and I will accept that all terminals will be similarly situated or similarly constructed as the PITX terminal. And so we speak of a modernization program. Many of you, especially the Filipinos, fellow Filipinos, you know about the jeepneys. There has been efforts in the many years past to modernize the jeepney. But every time they start, people make noise, especially the jeepney operator and federation. And when they make noise, government stop. They are still making noise as I modernize. But I tell you, Richard, I am not stopping. I will complete the modernization program before the end of the term of the president. No more. Of course, they are good looking. But you can have the good looks without having the engine. That's why I impose Euro 4 or Euro 5, solar or electric. That's why I impose, requirements of apps. It must now be air conditioned. It must now have Wi-Fi. It must now have CCTV. I need to be world class. I'm not going to stop on the modernization program. And part of the modernization program is my installation of what I call MBIS, Motor Vehicle Inspection System. This is a system that is prevailing in Europe. I am borrowing this system and putting it into the Philippines. It is a unit half this size, space half this size. You put your car, your bus, or your jeepney, push some buttons and you will see the roadworthiness of that vehicle with a flick of the finger, not with the inspection of an eye of an inspector in LTO. It is dictated by machine. There is trustworthiness on the system as we produce roadworthiness. This is the compatibility I seek and I hope to achieve, and hopefully this will be implemented before June or July of this year. Already we have awarded 120 or so. We will award another 460 or so, and we will award some more so that the motor vehicle inspection machine system all over the country can be used. People who say, how about my vehicle? Yes. Oh, where's Willie Titten? Willie. You know, Willie is a dealer. He's a big shot in the automotive industry. Willie, you will say, how about my car? It's 20 years, but it is vintage car. It can still run through the street. I said, okay, that's your opinion. What we have to do, Willie, is to put it in the NBIS. If it is proven to be roadworthy, go ahead. Ride the roads on the basis of roadworthiness. Ride the roads on the basis of roadworthiness. 1 year or 6 months, then we have to test again. That's how it's being done all over the world. And I want to do it here. I want to do it here. You have heard about licenses. Sir, did you know that I'll give you a very, very simple thing which I have done 2 or 3 weeks ago. When you take examination for driver's license, the examination are only in 2 languages, English and Tagalog. How about if you conduct the test in Visayas and Mindanao, and those poor countrymen of mine cannot understand Tagalog and cannot fully understand English? So now the simplest thing I did, I instructed LTO, all examinations shall now be done in English, Tagalog, or on the local dialect at the choice of the examinee. In that way, we can really gauge. Otherwise, it's a product, sir, of whoever makes the arrangement get the license. Those are gone. Have I touched on 4? I will reserve some moments for question and answer. You are all businessmen here. I've given you a glimpse of what we have done insofar as the promises which we have mentioned or articulated last May of 2018. What I said now is being reported here. In terms of the low-lying fruits, in terms of the plans and programs, there are many more yet to be done. There are many more yet to be inaugurated. Supposing, sir, I tell you that starting March until June of this year, I will be inaugurating 2 airports. When I say inaugurate 2 airports, not entirely new airports. It could be terminal, it could be runway, taxiway, it could be the night-rated capabilities or all of the above. We will be inaugurating 2 airports a month until June. Does it mean we will stop by June? No, sir. At the end of June, we will announce how many more airports we will inaugurate from July to December of this year. This is what I commit, and this is what I'm going to do. But is it all limited to airports? No, sir. Maritime will be married with it. So that if I inaugurate 2 airports, complementing the 2 airports will be 2 seaports that will be inaugurated from March until June, and again July up to December. You can count on that. I hope next time you invite me, my talk will be limited to the airports and the seaports that we have inaugurated, so that my commitment remains followed. My commitment remains obligated. And so today, I tell you, you the businessmen, trust us. Trust the Duterte administration. Trust us, we are doing something not for us, but for generations to come. We are at that point when we want to put up the golden age of infrastructure. Alone we cannot do it. Together with you, the businessmen and the private sector and the local government, hand in hand, we can achieve and walk that golden age of infrastructure. Help us now, believe us now, do it now with us. You know why? Because we are committed to doing several things. Number one, we are committed to transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability, which is a yardstick of the Asia CEO Forum. We are transparent and we will be accountable. We are committed to level playing field. We have reduced processing time from what used to take 12 months. Now we can do it in 6 months. What we can do in 6 months then, we can do it in 1 week. We have reduced processing time. And more importantly, we are committed to stopping, eradicating, and minimizing corruption. The stoppage of corruption is a non-compromising situation with us. The President is committed to stopping corruption at all costs. And I tell you, fellow businessmen, once upon a time, I used to be a businessman like you, and I am now in government. Because I tell you now, if you don't like government to be corrupt, please don't corrupt us. Don't corrupt us and don't even attempt to corrupt us. Because corruption is not a one-way street. It is multiple way. Your way, our way. We can work together in corruption, then it can have in-depth meaning. And that is why there are certain contracts that are being reviewed to show to one and all that we are level playing field, we are transparent and accountable, we reduce processing time, and we cannot tolerate corruption. Today I come to you because I wanted to show my interest, my very, very manifestation of good interest in being with you. I assure you, I enjoyed having a dialogue and a chat with you. I hope that after today's gathering, after today's dialogue, one of you or some of you will not just come to me and ask for appointment about business contract. I hope one of you or many of you can come and say, I want to work with you in creating and putting up the golden age of infrastructure. My fellow Filipinos will come to me and say, I want to be with you in the service of government, in the service of people. I'm glad to be here with you today. I enjoyed the message I communicated. In the same token, I hope you understand the message I am trying to communicate. To all of you, good morning.
Wow. What a presenter, what a story, and what a delivery of the story. Please, maybe we could stay on stage and we'll just answer a few questions. Would you like to sit? You want to sit or would you like to stand up? Okay, fair enough.
Up. If you want, walking.
Okay. Well, if I could ask one question first, something we discussed briefly, but some Filipinos have, the things that you're doing are, it's really exciting, just very much. There'll be an election in 2.5 years or so, under 3 years, and some are concerned what will happen after that. Will the momentum continue to finish these projects, or what do you think about that?
The momentum to continue is not for us to answer alone. The momentum to continue is for all of us to answer together. This barge terminal will travel and commute or
travel the distance for the containers, 20-footers and 40-footers, not on the streets, but on the water. And that is why you, as an operator of the ports, I hope that you can take also the temerity and the cooperation to use the barge rather than the truck. Because if I remove the containers running the highways, the 20-footer and the 40-footers, I will mitigate and change the traffic landscape in the cities. In fact, if you would have observed, there are now areas in Metro Manila where container trucks are not allowed to traverse and to pass. Sana, you help us use the barge. Taguig, North Harbor, South Harbor, and Batangas.
But I think that segment is not really, meaning it cannot really address, no? Because that's only a portion from, let's say, Manila to Cavite. What about the other inland route, let's say?
Sir, like in any other system, not one solution can address all the transportation problem in the Philippines. It has to be a basket of solution. If you want me to give you the solution per area, by province, and per region, maybe after this we can talk. Because they are already signaling one question left.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. One of them, good lady. Please, David Elmeral, the CEO of Multisys Technologies, who I understand is doing work with the Secretary.
While I am listening to the very nice presentation of Secretary Tugade, I'm really inspired because he's a Ilocano, I'm an Ilocano also. It's like a dream come true that we're doing something for the country. And every time I see all of you here with your smiles in your faces, it's like we are here to really help each other. The joining force of each of the strength that we have, I always believe that we can do a lot of things together. So, maraming salamat. Thank you, everyone. We continue to do this with, in behalf of the whole team of Multisys. Maybe some of you don't know yet about Multisys. Multisys was acquired by the PLDT Group last year for 2.1 billion. It's a tech company. It's considered now as the leading IT company, the software development company in the entire country. We have more than 2,000 clients now. And last year, I'm so blessed that with the help also of the government, of course, of the ease of doing business, we processed more than 150 million transactions with a total value of 200 billion last year, the biggest throughput in terms of IT transactions in the whole country. So maraming salamat for joining, and I think with all our efforts, our strength, if we combine together, we can do a lot of things. We can help our country, we promote ease of doing business with the help of the government as well. Maraming salamat po sa ating lahat.
As what David said, together, let's make Philippines a first world country. Mabuhay tayong lahat at salamat!